Hello, welcome. Peppermint. Can I have a peppermint? Anyway, I don't really know, I don't have a super huge focal point to this video. It's kind of just a bunch of jumbled up thoughts, that I'm just trying to get out there, I guess. I'm really new to talking to a camera, so it's kind of this awkwardness in between me and this lens. It's a lot different than talking to a person, so if it comes off kind of weird, just know I'm learning. This is new to me. But I really just wanted to talk about my mental health and where I'm at now and where I started, and hobbies and life and all of those things in general, just how I got to the point that I'm at now. So we'll start with the mental health aspect. 2.5 years ago, I think I was at the lowest point that I've ever been at. I had a really bad drinking problem, not just a one-off binge drinking thing. It was at a minimum every weekend of binge drinking the whole time. And at most it was 4 to 6 times a week of either a drink or multiple, even on, work nights, when I had to get up the next day. It was just a really rough time. I was also really struggling with an eating disorder, which I had since I was a teenager, but it went away for a little bit. Well, it didn't really go away, but it got better, and then it came back really hard around that time. And my husband and me both, we were just, I don't know, it was a weird time. Poor diet choices, overconsumption of alcohol, just a whole bunch of things just kind of made a big black ball of bad brain time. And we decided one day to go to the gym. And I know a lot of people will say, just eat better, exercise, you'll feel better. That doesn't work for everybody, but for some people it does. And the day that we stepped foot in that gym, my entire mindset changed. I no longer wanted to try and lose weight. I wanted to be strong, and I wanted to feed myself good food. And shout out to Miss Patty, because she got me on. I'm just saying. I kind of fell in love with the whole gym lifestyle and how it made me feel, and the diet choices that followed, and then the mental health improvements that followed that. And it slowly got better over time. My alcohol consumption dropped significantly. My diet increased significantly, but also with good food. I'm also a type 1 diabetic, so my blood sugar levels were more stable. I was feeling a lot better physically. I had a lot of medical issues going on at the time as well. And it just seemed like from that point on to now, there's been so many things that have changed in that time period that have led me to where I'm at. And I think it all started with the gym. Slowed my alcohol consumption significantly. That slowly dwindled down to a very occasional outing. And it's actually quite difficult for me to enjoy alcohol now unless I'm out at dinner or with family. Sitting at home and drinking is not something I want to do anymore. I've tried to just have a good time with just me and my husband at home. I would rather go have a drink with dinner or go play pool, something along those lines. But it's not something I seek out just at home anymore, which is crazy because I used to be an alone drinker. Which is, if that's happening to you, just try to give yourself some grace, because when you start craving being alone and drinking alcohol, it really is becoming a problem at that point. And I'll try to list some resources down in the description of websites or phone numbers you can call if you're really getting to the point where that is starting to be a problem for you. We gotta keep up. We gotta keep up with each other, babes. We gotta help each other out. I love you. I don't know you, but I love you. I care about you. Over time, we started making conscious decisions especially about the people we were hanging around and the lifestyles that, they were choosing to lead. And we decided that we really wanted to step away from that, because the biggest crutch that especially me, my husband, I don't want to speak for him, but especially for me, I had a hard time getting away from those things, because a lot of those people were family. They were the friends that I was around when I met my husband. And I still love them to this day. They're still my friends. It's just, you need to take a step back sometimes for your own mental health, because even though it may not affect them, it may be affecting you. And it's good to understand and set your own boundaries. And about 4 months ago, my husband was offered a new job, and it required us to leave. It required us to move. We move every 6 months, and we're on that first contract. We're in Iowa. They put corn in my mac and cheese, man. I'm sorry, I don't like it here. But it was nice, because it gave me that final push to try and work on myself more than trying to meet expectations for others. I've always been somebody that needed to be around people, that needed friends, that I was a very lonely person, and that would put me in spots where I felt like I needed to do things to have those friends. Alcohol was a big one. It was really hard to go from being, the life of the party. I threw big house parties and spent a lot of time on getting fancy lights and streamers and loud music and speakers and all kinds of stuff. I used to just, have a really good time, and turning away from being that person was really hard, because that was a big part of my personality. I'm still like that. I would love to be able to throw house parties and New Year's Eve parties and all those things again, but my priorities are a little different now, especially being in another state and I move so often. I have a hard time making friends, and I feel like I would rather get myself better mentally than try to make friends, because peer pressure is a big one for me. I succumb to it very easily. So I'm trying to work on myself before making those, steps to try and branch out again. But once my mental health improved, like I said, there were some ups and downs, especially with alcohol. The eating disorder fell off very quickly, which was very odd for me. I didn't ever expect it to just be gone. Thankfully, I don't have any issues with that anymore. I don't think about it ever unless I'm speaking about it to somebody as a point of telling my story. But it's never really, weighed me down anymore, and I'm very, very grateful to this day that is just not a part of my life. Once we moved to Iowa, I was blessed with being able to not have to work anymore. And that is a really big thing for me. I've always wanted to just be a stay-at-home, whatever, wife, mom, you name it. That's just something that I've always wanted to do. And I'm 22. That came really early for me. And I really, really enjoy it, because it's also going to lead me into my next point. It opened a big opportunity for me to enjoy hobbies. And keep in mind, just because, I'm stay at home doesn't mean that I can't just lay on my couch and scroll the internet for hours. I do. I spend a lot of time doing that, and it's a struggle, because that dopamine fix, man, it's got me in a chokehold sometimes. It's got a grip on me, man. But it also doesn't mean that I'm saying that's what you need to do, or that it's impossible for you to find joy in your hobbies if you do have to work and do those things. I have worked up till this point, and I struggled, and I'm very grateful for what I have now. So please just keep that in mind. This is not a braggy thing. This is just part of my story and how I got to this point, and that I'm very grateful for it to have this opportunity. Some days, all I'm doing is taking care of my home, but other times, I have days that are empty when all the chores are done and there's nothing to do. I have days that are just a blank slate. And I, thankfully, have kept all of the things I have purchased throughout the years. Having ADHD, where you start a hobby and you immediately give up on it like 2 weeks later because the dopamine's gone and you're bored of it and you found something else you'd rather do, even though you already spent like $200 on all the supplies and you've got a closet full of different craft supplies. But regardless, thankfully I kept all those things because I have, some free time. I started doing those things again. And when we first got here, that was not the case. I was not doing anything. I did not want to do anything but lay on my couch or sleep all day and scroll social media because I was being lazy. And I thought that, I'll just take advantage of doing what I need to do around the house and just whatever. But it slowly started to creep in that I am in a state miles and miles away from my hometown. I don't know anybody here. I need to be doing something productive, and not productive in the sense of like where it's a chore. Really anything that just allows you to enjoy that moment in time. It can literally be sitting on the couch playing Animal Crossing for 6 hours straight. That's a hobby. And it's a good hobby. I don't care what anybody says. But I did make a list of some of the hobbies that I have, and I'll try to show some pictures on the screen as I go of some of the things that I have created or some of the things I've collected. But these are just some ideas to maybe get you motivated to try something new. And they're not in any particular order. I just wrote them all down. So I'm just going to go down the list and try to kind of explain a little bit about it and show you some things that I've made, and maybe you'll like it. Two things that kind of coincide together are painting and hobby dollhouse making, or just hobby dollhouses in general. I actually made this painting of a possum. I think I might have stole this idea from Pinterest or some kind of meme or something, I'm not sure, but I painted that, and then I never touched my paintbrushes again for like 2 or 3 years. But the reason I say that hobby dollhouse making and painting kind of coexist together is because I now paint the hobby dollhouses. I have recently bought a castle, and I'll try to put a video. I think I'll probably use one from TikTok. My TikTok is calico.clutter. Follow that if you're really interested in this, because it's pretty cool and I'm very new, so I have no followers. I collect calico critters, and I have one of the little houses, but I thought it'd be really cool to start making like maybe some like story times with them, or like just some like aesthetic little videos with them. And I started making this castle, and I've only done the exterior and like some wallpaper on 2 rooms, but I still think it's really, really pretty. But I had to paint that, and that kind of just allows me to have that creativity from painting and also creating something, which I really like to do, and it involves my calico critter collection, so it's pretty cool. Some other things that kind of go together are crocheting and sewing. Right now I'm actually working on a shawl, which when I'm done, I'll probably put it in a video. I'll probably make a video about the crochet projects I've made. If you're interested in that, please let me know, because I would be I think it'd be pretty cool. But crocheting and sewing, those are 2 really big ones for me. They're relatively easy projects to do beginner level stuff at. Anybody can make a tote bag. If you have a sewing machine that's been gathering dust, pull it out. Make a tote bag. You can use old t-shirts or old sheets or pillowcases to do it. You might need to go buy some thread or a needle, but I mean, it's one of those things that if you stay really simple with it, it's relatively affordable. Just know that if you get kind of addicted to it, you may end up having an overconsumption problem with notions and fabric like I do. It's a bad problem. But same with yarn, crocheting. If you start really simple, learn the basics, you can do a lot more than you think you'd be able to with just 3 stitches and being able to increase and decrease. And the last few things are music, journaling, and video games. I recently started making music, and it's another thing I'd like to do is make my own intro music just to practice, but then eventually I'd like to make like maybe like a music video or like put something out there, like maybe not album wise, but maybe like an EP with like 3 songs or something, just to see how people receive it and if it does well. Even if it doesn't, it's a hobby, so I'm still gonna enjoy it and get better over time. If you're interested in hearing about any kind of music that I make, also please let me know down below. I think my brain. I think the most common ones are hobby dollhouses, music, and crocheting. I think I spend the most time doing those things. And if you'd like to see what my plan is for my calico critters and all that kind of stuff, we're going to be moving into a camper, hopefully, after this job. If not, we'll be getting another apartment, but after that one, we'll be getting a camper to move into. But if you would like to know about how I plan to move those things to the camper and how I plan to kind of set that up with my desk space and my husband's desk space, just let me know, and I could always make a video on how I plan to downsize what I have and make it work in that space. And always remember to do nice things for yourself. Buy yourself flowers, go on walks, go buy a nice coffee if you can. If you don't want to spend any money, take a bath, light a candle, drink some tea, like do something nice for yourself, bake a cake. Appreciate yourself and know that you are worth the work you're going to put into yourself to better your mental health or to enjoy the hobbies that you have. I think it's so worth it, and I really, really wish you the best on your journey. I hope that you found inspiration from my hobbies and how I've come this far with my mental health and the steps I took to get there. Also, I'm really sorry. This whole video, my throat has been very sore. I think it's just the change in the weather, but I'm tired of it. This was a little different than the videos that I have been making. I'm a pretty silly person, I think, and I like the kind of like chaotic editing. But this is more like a sit down like talk video, not, like a painting video or something like that. I do have plans for another paint with me video. If you feel like checking out the very first one, that's pretty awful, I'll probably link it down below so you can go check that out. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you would like to see more from me. Just let me know. Okay, bye!